Box office, the new faith-based thriller, Sound of Freedom, has roared in the theaters.
Right, even knocking the fedora right off of Indiana Jones's July 4th box office rankings and taking the #1 spot that day.
How'd that make you feel? Giving a child his freedom.
Felt good.
You have been at this for 12 years. Why are you doing it? Because God's children are not for sale.
Joining us right now is the guy who the movie is based upon, Underground Railroad founder, Tim Ballard, who helped save kids from traffickers all around the world. Tim, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning, thank you.
How cool is that? Your movie beat Indiana Jones.
Yeah, we're blessed, we're shocked. I grew up on Indiana Jones. How could more people want to watch a movie about us than him? But we're grateful because it's a real problem. People are waking up, and we think this could be a major solution in the fight against child trafficking.
Yeah, Tim, it's a true story about you. You work for Homeland Security, and then you were arresting these pedophiles, and you realize, hey, there are victims out there, and I want to save these kids. And the true story is your wife said, quit your job and you go save this family. Brother and sister are kidnapped. They think they're going to be models, and a beautiful lady says to the dad, just leave them here in this room. I'll take care of them. Come back and pick them up later this afternoon. I'm going to teach them how to be models and give them a modeling career and make a lot of money for your family. He comes back and the lights are off. The kids are gone. And so you make it your life mission to save the little boy, and you promise the little boy, I'm going to save your sister. Did you tell us the story of this? Because I understand it was a Fox movie. And then when Disney bought Fox Century 20th Century, then this was tabled. And so how did it get to the Angel? How did the Angel Network get involved?
Well, yeah, Fox, you said, produced it. Disney bought it, and Disney was very clear that they weren't going to do anything with it. The irony there is pretty almost poetic now. The producers wrestled it away, and it went through several hands. And I actually was on I was invited to the set of The Chosen, and I happened to be there, and I ran into the Angel Studios executives just sitting there in the fake Jerusalem set. So it's kind of cool. And I told them that this film is about to lose the people who had it, the right for it to expire. They jumped in and grabbed it, and I mean, they made a deal in 5 days.
That's great.
With the producers, Eduardo, and then 90 days later, here we are. It happened really fast. Angel Studios, very creative. They know how to do this.
What did Jim Caviezel do to the part and playing you?
Well, when they asked me back in, I believe, 2018, who I would like to play me, right out of the gate, I said Jim Caviezel.
Awesome.
And they didn't like that because there's a cool scene at the end of the movie where they transition into actual footage from the operation that's depicted in the film. And they said, you look nothing like Jim. We want someone that looks a little bit like you. And I told them I don't trust Hollywood very much. I told them I think I'm in business largely because of Hollywood and the sex content they constantly create, which leads to the demand. And I said, Jim Caviezel loves Jesus. That's important to me because I love Jesus. And I think that, that's the connection point where I feel comfortable. And they went with it, and I think they made the right decision. Anyone who sees the film, I think, would agree.
Yeah, indeed. But there's been some criticism in the mainstream media where they suggest there's some sort of a connection to your movie and QAnon. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I can't explain it, and neither can they. Every show I've seen, they just like to throw the word out, QAnon. They make zero connection to the actual story. It's very difficult to make that connection when it's actually based on a true story. Every kid is real in the story. Every bad guy is real. They play with some timing and things like that to fit it all in. But where's the QAnon doctrine being spewed in the film and the script? I have no idea, because this is actually what it looks like. Because this is what happened. I was there, and several others were there to confirm. So this is just some other agenda. Who would want to get the backs or run interference for pedophiles and human traffickers? That's the more important question in all this. Why would you want to lie to push an agenda whose goal is to have children be in captivity? It's kind of sick.
Tim, I think for our viewers that faith in their life. I think they know that God is just blessing you because you're telling a story, and Disney doesn't want it told. And people don't want Jim Caviezel. He's had a hard time getting booked for movies because he played Jesus in Passion of the Christ, and he's expressed his love for Jesus. So I'm so glad you're telling this story. It's awesome how God has made this all just happen and come to be. And I think you spent like $15 million, and you've made 3 times that now, which is awesome. My family's seen the movie. I saw the movie. It's hard to watch because as a mother, you think, if someone did this to my child, my goodness. So tell us about the problem and what as a country we can do to help this.
Well, this is the fastest growing criminal enterprise in the world, and too often Americans sit back and say, this is something far, far away from us, and it's not. We are generally speaking, we are the demand for consuming child exploitation material. Often we're the #1 producers. We're in the top 3 countries for destination countries. We are the ones pushing these movements about sexualizing kids, calling it sex education. We're the ones who are allowing or wanting children as young as 13 years old to be able to consent to anything, including body mutilation, which will only lead to consent laws around children being able to consent to have sex with adults. We are the country that allows, in the last 2 years, 85,000 unaccompanied minors to come to our border and then be let in without any vetting, no background check. And what do you think's happening in the economy of pedophilia? We are the problem. We are the demand. We are creating this.
Right, and they got phony sponsors. The sponsors drop them off in the fields, and they're basically working all day, no communication with their families. It's happening right now. Those kids coming across the border are not going to good situations. I want you to hear what CNN said about you. Listen to this and have you respond.
Films are created out of moral panics. They're created out of bogus statistics. They're created out of fear. And with something like Sound of Freedom, it specifically is looking at QAnon concepts of these child trafficking rings that are run by the high-level elites, and only people like Tim Ballard and only people like Jim Caviezel, and by extension, only people like the ticket buyer can help bring these trafficking rings down.
Do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, as that guy's talking, and he's nobody's hero, by the way. I can't imagine any kid looking at him thinking he's going to help them out. But I think of the children that are really depicted in that film. I know what happened to them. Those children were the subjects of child rape videos. Those children were being sold for sex. In total, you see over 120 kids actually are rescued in the story that's being depicted, even if the movie doesn't get into all of them. These are real kids. I see them. I'm still friends with them. So it's embarrassing and frankly grotesque for this guy who knows nothing to start throwing out terms like QAnon and connecting it to a real story. I mean, they're not even thinking about it. So what are they thinking about?
Are they pro-sex trafficking?
Children?
It's so bizarre. It's like they're pro-sex trafficking. Like, leave the industry alone.
That's how it feels to me. It feels like there's some other agenda, because why do this?
There's that one scene in the movie where it's an older man and he's picking out what little boy or what little girl he wants to take into, but I just can't even talk about it, but to take away. And we know what's going to happen to that child. Does that really happen, and how often does it happen?
Well, this is happening all the time. There are 6 million children, believe it or not, according to the Department of Labor, Department of State, who are stuck in slavery of one kind or another, either sex labor or organ harvesting. I mean, organ harvesting, we've been taking down several organ harvesting rings where they take little babies and use them that way. And so we see everything, and the film depicts every kind, whether it's the lure, like you mentioned, that's a real person, that beauty queen who was recruiting kids as young as 9 years old and then grooming them to be sex slaves, or whether it's the more kind of, hey, you've been taken, we're gonna select you for this or that. We see everything. It's all in existence, and there's millions of kids.
Well, everybody is talking about your movie. Congratulations. It's a tough topic, but it's important. Tim Ballard, sir, thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank
This
you,
is
guys.
from the studio that brought us The Chosen, and go to angel.com/freedom if you want showtimes. Support this movie, support the cause, because people like Tim are going out and saving these children. And you're right, God's children are not for sale. Tim, thank you so much.
Thank you.